Yeah, sure.
All right, let's move on to this high-speed train that Canada might be getting at some point. Here's a clip of Trudeau making the announcement.
Today, I'm announcing the launch of Alto, the largest infrastructure project in Canadian history. A high-speed rail network between Quebec City and Toronto with stops in Trois-Rivières, Laval, Montreal, Ottawa, and Peterborough. It'll span 1,000 kilometers with 100% electric trains that will reach speeds of 300
That's
kilometers
Anita
an
Anand,
hour.
I think, right?
Yeah, it is.
Minister?
Yeah.
That was the key word you said, alleged, right? Or
What?
not alleged. You're like, it might happen.
Yeah, it might happen.
Right? That's the thing. It's going to take forever. It's going to cost how much?
So they're saying what he was saying before, I think it was like 3.9 billion, but that's just for what he's contributing from the federal budget right now.
Yeah.
Right. This whole thing is going to cost somewhere in the realm of $60-90 billion to make.
Yeah.
It hasn't,
right.
like, it didn't start or anything.
No. So what they're talking about right now is the developmental phases to sign the contracts to even get this thing going, which is going to take 5 to 6 years to develop. And then they're going to start construction.
Wow. He's like announcing it like it's going to happen next week.
You know what the weird thing about this whole thing is? The timing of it all. Like, we can talk about how exciting and stuff it is afterwards. So Polyev has this dollar for dollar plan, right? Where he said, I don't know, something along the lines of every dollar spent, for every dollar spent, there will be a dollar saved or invested.
Yeah.
Right? Now imagine billions of dollars going to a train, right?
You can't save and invest.
In your first couple of years, well, how are you going to offset that? Where are you going to save that? Are you going to cut taxes somewhere? What are you going to do? What are you going to invest in?
For sure.
Right? Or you can argue that the train is the investment.
Yeah.
Right? And then just double
That's what I would think.
spend.
Or can
right?
he choose to scrap that plan altogether?
I don't know. I think if this guy puts it into motion, even to get out of something like that, you're going to have to pay some sort of money to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's going to be contracts.
be losses,
There's going to be, like, buying out of the contract, some sort of, maybe a legal battle or something. Who knows?
Has Polyev said anything regarding
Some of the conservative, members of parliament, they were coming out and they're saying they're pretty against it.
Oh.
I didn't read anything from Polyev, but they were just like, it's going to take too much time and money. Like, the CPR took 4 years to build. And that was in a time where there was a lot cheaper labor and obviously illegally using Chinese immigrants, and a lot of people died. It was pretty crazy how they got that whole thing built, right? There's a crazy history about it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to do any of that.
It's also one of the largest railways in the country and it was built way back in the day, right?
And that thing took 4 years. This thing's going to cost from 30 to 90 billion.
No. It's going to be somewhere between 60 and 90 billion, maybe upwards of $100 billion to make
And
this thing, right?
on the low end, 5 years, right?
No.
What?
No. The developmental stage in this thing is going to take about 5 or 6 years, right? You're talking about they're going to start doing construction on this thing in 2030. This thing is going to be built somewhere in the mid 2030s.
Yeah.
From anything I've read or anything that I know.
Yeah. So look at that.
I didn't realize there was such a need.
Okay, so now let's talk about the positive stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The positive stuff is, like, if you look at major countries, like you look at Europe, you look at England, you look at anywhere over there, they have some sort of transit system, right? Like, they'll have a lot of buses and trains and a lot of things that run through there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think London has one of the most efficient bus systems in the world. There's buses that come every minute,
I've heard
right?
about that.
And then if you're going to look at the United States, you look at the freeway system there, right? And there's so many freeways. Whenever you get close to any major city, there's freeways intersecting all over the place. There's bypasses. You can get around stuff, right? In Canada, try to go
Anywhere.
in any major
During
city.
rush hour.
Yeah, like there's not multiple decisions you can make to avoid traffic. There's not massive infrastructure in buses, in anything really, right? So on that side of it, if we're going to take the politics and the money and all of that out, I'm excited. If I'm just looking at it from like a childish or like a naive perspective of not like where the money's going, it's exciting to see that Canada is going to be doing something that is a high-speed railway that connects Montreal and Quebec and Toronto and Peterborough. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ottawa too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were in Italy, we went on these high-speed trains there.
Yeah.
They go, I think, roughly the same speed, like 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Yo, those trains are so cool.
Yeah.
I was telling him, I'm like, I would rather do this than sit in a plane. They're so spacious. You I slept in one, and it goes fast.
Can you feel it?
No.
No.
So
So smooth. You just look outside and you're like, whoa, we're going fast.
Really?
Yeah.
So if theoretically, if I'm on it, can I work?
You can work, you can sleep, you can.
So look at
They're
that.
they're way more comfortable than I don't know if they're gonna be the same because I don't know
Yeah.
what Alto is. I don't know what Italy's version is.
Yeah.
But when we were on them, we took them from I think it was
Florence to Rome. We took them everywhere.
Florence, Rome,
We even took it from Venice.
Venice, yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes, and the whole time you're just sitting there. You can work on whatever you want, right? So, I mean,
It's so
like,
fast. I think we saved hours on our journey.
And it
It's
feels just like
like
a regular train?
it feels it's smoother than like the Go.
yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you can work on the go.
Yeah.
yeah. And that one had like a lot of leg room and space. I don't know how this is gonna end up. We
Yeah,
were
yeah,
also
that one
sitting in
was-
business class.
That one
Yeah.
had like someone
Yeah.
coming around with food.
yeah.
Like it felt very luxury, and it wasn't. It
Yeah.
was like a really cheap ticket.
Yeah, like how much do you think this one will cost? Probably
imagine
expensive.
It won't be
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah. Because look at like
No.
the Union Station train. I feel
No,
like that's
no.
so
How much is the Via Rail from
Pearson.
Toronto to Windsor? It's like 120 bucks, right?
Probably more now. Back when I used
Toronto
to
to
do that, it was like
Windsor, I
80
don't know.
bucks.
Yeah, it's somewhere around like $100.
Yeah.
I would imagine with well, we don't know what the hell when this thing finishes 2035 what prices will be like.
What inflation is like.
Yeah.
But I would imagine it'd be less than $200 for sure.
Yeah.
Like $150. I don't think it'd be more than that for like a
And right now, driving to Quebec City is what, like 7-8 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Quebec City's like 8. Getting to Montreal,
Like 6, right?
it's supposed to be 5, but
The-
that drive, depending on the season and the traffic, it could be 7. Just getting to Montreal, 6.
I think the exciting thing about this is think about like in the summertime, right? Like if you want to go to cottages, you want to do these kind of things, and a lot of time, especially for people who live in Ontario,
Yeah.
right? Like you can just go from
Something else
Toronto,
to do, right?
right? Yeah, you can go from Toronto to like even Ottawa, go explore, right? Go to
Yeah, yeah.
Montreal, go explore.
And Quebec City's so pretty.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
right? When you get to, it opens up this tourist from not even like from an outside perspective for
Yeah.
Canadians
Yeah.
here, right? Instead of just driving 5-6 hours, you take a 3-hour train ride and you're
as bad.
in a
comfortable.
completely different province. It feels like you're on a vacation.
Honestly,
right?
you could go there for a weekend.
Exactly.
Just go and come back.
Yeah,
Like
it changes
Quebec City.
everything. I think from that perspective, it does change everything.
Yeah.
From the working perspective, I don't know if somebody working in Ottawa is going to catch a train to downtown Toronto. Maybe theoretically.
You could
Right.
if it's only like 2 hours and you can like there's so much remote working
Yeah.
now. You can work on the way. Like I was saying,
That's
you could
crazy.
work
I
on
didn't
the way.
think of that.
Yeah, theoretically, that would make it so.
People's commute in the GTA is roughly an
Go
hour.
from Niagara and work
Yeah.
to Toronto.
yeah.
If you can get from Ottawa to Toronto in 2 hours, I think people would consider it.
They might.
Yeah.
You might start
Wow.
living there,
Yeah.
Will they take away jobs?
or like
or imagine
create
even-
new living environments.
Even if
different
somebody
places.
lives in Peterborough, they could probably catch a train to
Them for
Ottawa
yeah,
in
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Easy. So that opens up, working and like it connects the two cities and provinces in a good way.
there's a lot of positives.
Yeah.
overall.
But at the end of the day, if you are going to do something like this, it's going to take multiple governments. I feel like it's not something that's going to happen in like 4 years.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So even if Polyev was to announce it, it's obviously going to be a liberal idea because liberals like to spend.
They're the only ones backing it.
Yeah.
Even the Bloc is pretty.
That's-
Bloc's like they'll do it, but they don't want because their whole plan that he announced has a bunch of private companies in it. They don't
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like it's gonna cost way more.
I even read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but I read that Air Canada is even a part of this
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? Because it would kind of cut the flights to these places, right?
Yeah.
And kind of
so they want to invest for a bit.
So they're in this a little bit. Then there's also this whole side of how it's going to create 51,000 jobs.
Yeah.
And Trudeau was saying that they're going to use aluminum
Yeah.
and steel, right? But the flip side of that is that's not going to happen for another 5 to 6 years, right? These 51,000 jobs aren't going to get created now. Who knows what the economy looks like at that time, right? So if this is going to happen, it might be a positive thing where certain steel and aluminum manufacturers start to build up their facilities so they can accommodate a railway. So it
Yeah.
might give some optimism. But for right now, I don't think it does anything to the country's GDP,
Yeah.
right?
The timing of it's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
on his way out.
Definitely. Let's move on to the Bank of Canada.